It's 12 o'clock. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Starr Midday News. And coming up in the bulletin, NDC MPs describe urgent business cited by the NPP caucus for recall of parliament as an attempt to fleece the public purse.
We are begging $100 million loan. Yet we are giving $350 million tax exemption to foreign companies. Does it make sense?
More from the NDC caucus, which has hinted of seeking an injunction at the Supreme Court on the recall.
To secure an injunction on Mr. Speaker from summoning Parliament, I will further seek for constitutional interpretation, the Supreme Court to interpret that particular clause.
Also in the bulletin, National Commission for Civic Education bemoans rising willingness of voters to engage in violence to advance the interests of political parties.
The fact that we actually have people who are willing to say on record that yes, they are willing to participate in violent activities for one reason or the other should be a great source of worry to all well-meaning Ghanaians.
Also in the bulletin, Imani Center for Policy and Education pushes for establishment of independent fiscal council to address fiscal management.
There's an opportune moment for us to use the fiscal council or an establishment of an independent fiscal council that has the power to oversee and bite and stop some of the reckless expenditure items or activities undertaken by the government.
And just coming in, the University Teachers Association of Ghana has suspended its industrial action. We'll bring you details. And later on,
it's indeed a problematic situation where if you listen to the campaign now, perhaps you would hear more sounds and more music than policies that are being put out, and a lot more promises here and there.
we ask, are campaign songs becoming a nuisance in the election process? We have the details of these and more coming up in the next 30 minutes, including sports. Stay tuned in. Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA, also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch. You're welcome once again to the Starr Midday News on Starr 103.5 FM, coming to you live from our studios at the Platinum Place in Ridge. My name is Dedei Tettey. To the details of our stories now, and news just coming in is that the University Teachers Association of Ghana has suspended its industrial action, which was intended to pile pressure on government to address the illegal mining menace. You would recall that when organized labor rescinded its decision to embark on that nationwide strike, UTAG proceeded to go on the strike and expressed disappointment in the decision of organized labor to rescind that earlier decision. Well, after about a week and over, or close to 2 weeks, UTAG has now suspended that industrial action. I've been joined in the studio by Starr News' as well as GH1 News' Edem Kojo. He is with our research desk. The statements just came in from UTAG. Edem, what does the statement say?
So it's captioned, update on UTAG strike action against illegal mining. That is Galamsey. Now, UTAG initiated a nationwide strike on the 10th of October 2024, calling on the government to ban mining and prospecting of gold and other minerals in forest reserves, farms, and water bodies. The devastating effects of Galamsey on our environment, particularly on water bodies, forest reserves, agricultural lands, and livelihoods, have been well documented. As scholars and educators, we believe it is our civic responsibility to ensure that future generations of Ghana inherit a sustainable and healthy environment. During the strike, UTAG members across the country demonstrated a deep sense of purpose and commitment. We used various platforms to raise awareness of the issue, amplifying the call for decisive action on this critical national challenge. Our non-political advocacy approach was evident through a hashtag campaign, leveraging media platforms for support and engaging constructively to push our demands. Beyond our demand for the government to ban mining and prospecting in forest reserves, farms and water bodies, we also called for the speedy revocation of the Environmental Protection (Mining in Forest Reserves Regulation 2022 LI 2462) and requested the government to expand the scope of its task force to include forest reserves in the fight against illegal mining. Additionally, UTAG developed a pact for candidates of the 2024 presidential elections, which aims to secure their commitment to fighting illegal mining activities. Discussions with various stakeholders regarding the signing of the pact have started. Our strike action has demonstrated significantly throughout the country our commitment to protecting and sustaining the environment for present and future generations. We have won the admiration and confidence of the Ghanaian people in us to always stand up for the welfare of our country. In light of this, NEC, after thorough deliberations, has directed to suspend the strike action effective Tuesday, 29th October 2024, and is seeking members' affirmation or otherwise of this directive. The National Independent Elections Committee is hereby directed to facilitate the process by the close of Monday, 28 October 2024, to make an immediate decision on the suspension directive. So, in summary, after 3 weeks of strike by UTAG, looks like university students would return to the classroom next Tuesday.
So they are yet to get the vote on this. They are yet to vote on this, and they've directed the Independent Electoral Commission to do that
on
by
Monday. Yes.
Okay.
So by close of Monday, we'll probably get a confirmation of the suspension of the strike
what
action.
Things are looking like, they are most likely going to suspend it on Tuesday, 29th of October.
Most definitely.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Edem. Could you bring in us details of that statement from UTAG, which has declared its intention to suspend or call off that industrial action over illegal mining on October 29, Tuesday. They'll put that to a vote. Once that is determined, we'll bring more in relation to that to you. To other stories now, and the NDC caucus in Parliament has described the urgent government business cited as reason by their counterparts on the NPP side for the recall of Parliament as an attempt to fleece the public purse. The NPP caucus yesterday triggered Article 112, Clause 3 of the 1992 Constitution. This provision impresses upon the Speaker to recall Parliament within 7 days following his decision to adjourn the House indefinitely on Monday. Now, but how did we get here in the first place? Well, GH1 and Starr News' Jojo Kovina tells a story of the longest running drama series in Ghana's history, with the final episode set to end on the 6th of January 2025.
Can you recognize your member of parliament? No? Well, before you do, let's rewind to the very beginning of the longest running political drama in town, the 8th Parliament of Ghana, a saga of twists, turns, and fistfights. It all kicked off with a bang. Ballot paper snatching, chewing, and yes, sprinting. Who needs action movies when we have got parliament? The 2020 election produced a hung parliament, meaning no majority easy way out. So when the controversial e-levy came up, let's just say tensions hit boiling point, literally. The e-levy vote saw Ahanta West MP Alexander Kojokum wheeled in by ambulance. Nanton MP Hadi Teferi sped into Parliament despite a car accident to vote on 3 revenue bills. You would think he was auditioning for the Fast and Furious spin-off. Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu raised the stakes, invoking Article 97 to throw a curveball attempting to formalize and establish the NDC as the majority. The plot thickens.
I am very certain that Parliament and Ghana will go through a major constitutional test. And that constitutional test is that the NDC minority must become the majority from Wednesday next week.
Former Speaker Michael Quay had set a precedent. Speaker Alban Bagbin followed suit, declaring the seats of some MPs vacant for switching political tickets.
How does an MP operate both as an elected independent MP and at the same time an MPP MP if he should win the election? This lacuna of a ridiculous situation is not what is anticipated under the 1992 Constitution. In the circumstances, Parliament it is determined that the conduct of Honorable Andrew Amoako Esiama amounts to vacating his seat in Parliament.
These MPs cannot be allowed by law and my good self to continue to pretend to be representing people that they don't believe in.
But hold on, the majority wasn't going down without a fight.
The matter that came before us has interpretation reliefs, and that you do not have the power to interpret the Constitution, and that your duty is to enforce. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, you were not listening to me.
Mr. Speaker, may I finish with respect?
All what you said are wrong, so I cannot continue to allow you to keep on misleading the House.
They rushed the Supreme Court to stay Bagwin's decision. And if you thought MPs couldn't be punctual, you would be wrong. On October 22nd, many MPs got up early, showing up as early as 6 a.m. just to grab the coveted majority spot in the chamber.
I don't want to glorify that kind of allegation. I came here as part of my duties. It's not only these days or today that I come to work early. Every time I come to work early.
First on the scene, in Sawam Adoajiri MP, Frank Anodompre. But Adaklu MP, Kwame Agboja, wasn't having any of that.
Why is Anodompre already sitting in there? When we were told that the room opens at 8 o'clock, yes. He's already sitting in there. So they are the ones who are going to cause the fight.
Both sides fought for control at the chamber like it was the last jollof at a party. In this showdown, the MPP eventually walked out, leaving the NDC to celebrate in style. No blows exchanged this time, just some good old-fashioned jeers and victory songs. So, can you identify your MP now? If not, just tune in to the next episode. Who knows what drama awaits Ghana's political theater? Jojo Kobna, GH1 News.
Of course, Jojo Kobna with GH1 and Starr News. Meanwhile, the NPP caucus in Parliament has expressed confidence that Speaker Bagbin will honor their request for a recall of the House. Second Majority Whip and MP for Seshua Kontombra, who sent the petition to the Speaker, has been speaking to Starr News.
Through my leader, Aleza Finyo-Markin, has actually instructed me to put in a request through the senators that I have corrected. Now we need to actually pass this financial, the loan, the one that I've actually mentioned, the EPL bill. And he's the leader of the House and the leader of the government business. So he has actually triggered this constitutional instrument by instructing me now as a deputy whip to actually send a petition to Speaker. And personally, I have handed over the petition. And we are not doing anything uncalled for. We are using the constitutional instrument and our standing order of Parliament. So we are waiting for the Speaker to respond to our request. And at the end of the day, I think we can reconvene and pursue government business. So
that is the deputy, second second majority whip, second deputy majority whip, an MP for Seshia Kontombra, who spoke to Starr News there. Let's find out exactly what are these urgent businesses they talk about. Adam could just join me in the studio. Adam, what are some of these bills? We know that there's a $250 million facility as well they're talking about, correct?
Yes, so it's the Ghana Financial Stability Fund, where they're expecting some $250 million from the International Development Association. So there's a need for that loan, for example, or that facility to be approved. They are also trying to approve tax exemptions for some designated beneficiaries under the One District, One Factory program. And then there are 6 bills that they say are urgent: Environmental Protection Agency Bill, Social Protection Bill, Customs Amendment Bill, Budget Bill, Ghana Boundary Commissions Bill, and the Interstate Succession Bill. So these are the urgent business that the MPP caucus says must be addressed, hence the Speaker must recall.
All right, but the MP for Tamale Central, Ibrahim Mutala Mohamed, has described the recall as unfounded. According to him, some items listed as urgent are simply a ploy to rip off the state.
And let's look at even the items they want us to come and look at. That $350 million tax exemption is a fraud, robbery, thievery. This is a country that goes in. We are begging $100 million loan. Yet we are giving $350 million tax exemption to foreign companies. Does it make sense? So those people who would have paid the money anyway, those companies would have paid $350 million to Ghana. Government of Ghana says, no, don't pay. We'll give it to you free. But we are going begging for $100 million because there are friends, family members behind those things. You read the 1D1F document. Why? It is, the policy position is very clear. For any company to benefit from the tax exemption under the 1D1F, that company must show proof of jobs they will be creating as a result of what you are giving them. They haven't even shown that.
They've not shown that.
They haven't.
The evidence.
Two. I mean, the other one, they want to hoodwink Ghanaians into believing, oh no, it is about the galamsey. You don't need those laws to prevent galamsey. We have enough laws in this country.
Right.
What you need to stop the galamsey is the political will. And within President Nanodo, Dr. Bome, and the entirety of the MPP, political will has taken a sabbatical leave.
You had there the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Ibrahim Mutala Mohamed. Let's go over the telephone line and speak to governance expert, Dr. Frederick Oduro. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us here on the Starr Midday News. Now, the NPP caucus, shortly after boycotting proceedings, has gone ahead to trigger the process for a recall of Parliament. Some had said that when hints came out that this was what they intended to do, many had said that this defeats the entire purpose of the Speaker's adjournment, which many expected would allow for further dialogue. What do you say to the latest trigger?
Good afternoon. First and foremost, let us agree that it is their right to use that instrument to get Parliament to be recalled. But the question I'm asking myself is, what will happen if Parliament does not sit for the rest of its tenure? Considering the kind of attitude our parliamentarians have shown to us, I would wish Parliament does not sit again till its tenure comes to an end. I don't think there is anything so critical to this nation at this hour that if Parliament should fail to approve or even fail to consider, the country is going to suffer any significant challenge. So, in appreciation of the current situation we find ourselves, I would rather wish Parliament does not reconvene because I don't think they have shown to be nationalistic enough. What I deem our parliamentarians to be interested in is to be looking after their parochial partisan interests. It is not what is good for the nation that they are thinking about.
You say that you don't see You say that you don't see anything urgent that they should be looking at. Now, the NPP in triggering this process, they have cited a number of bills, for instance, and other agreements. They talk about the Ghana Financial Stability Fund and then an International Development Association facility worth $250 million. Various bills, including the Environmental Protection Agency Bill 2024, the Interstate Succession Bill 2022, among others. You don't think these are urgent enough?
Why can't we look at it in January? I mean, what stops us from looking at it in a new parliament?
Okay.
Under a new government. If it is so important and critical, why did it have to wait till this late in the administration for it to be sent to parliament? I don't think Ghana will suffer any significant loss if we should fail to have parliament sitting. And I don't trust the work that parliament is doing these days because of their parochial interests they are all pursuing. It is not the national interest they are pursuing. And I would be very happy if parliament doesn't.
All right, Doc. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We're grateful for your time, sir.
You are.
You had to speak to governance expert Dr. Frederick Ojo. He says he would prefer that Parliament does not reconvene. You're still listening to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. Let's move on to issues relating to the NCCE. Well, the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Kathleen Addy, has expressed alarm or concern over the increasing willingness of Ghanaians to engage in election-related violence. Now, this concern was highlighted during the launch of the NCCE's report on voter concerns, which revealed that some voters are prepared to resort to violence to advance party interest or in response to perceived electoral malpractices. Let's listen to the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education.
What we do is public education. To that extent, from the beginning of the year, we have been harping on this thing, educating people, creating awareness. It's the money in politics is one of our big thematic areas that we have been doing the public education around the whole year, and we'll continue to harp on it even as we get closer to the elections, so that people are not easily influenced to accept money in exchange for votes. When it comes to violence, you don't actually need a lot of people to have devastating impact. When it comes to violence, one person can really bring a major problem to our country. So it doesn't matter that, it's just the fact that we actually have people who are willing to say on record that yes, they are willing to participate in violent activities for one reason or the other should be a great source of worry to all well-meaning Ghanaians. And as a people, we should work together to ensure that we build confidence in the systems that have been set up for governance, so that people will not feel compelled to take that course of action. And people should have the understanding that there are conflict resolution mechanisms that are available, through various institutions, through the Peace Council.
You had there the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education, Madam Kathleen Addy. You're still listening to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. Shortly, we'll bring you the very latest in the world of sports. But before we do that, we need to touch base in relation to some concerns that are coming up in terms of the conversations that are being had with regard to the upcoming elections. There are some who are expressing concerns about the lack of substance and more focus on music. And this is coming from the Imani Center for Policy and Education. They are urging government to establish, we switched attention to fiscal policies rather. The Imani Center for Policy and Education is urging government to establish an independent fiscal council to address long-standing financial mismanagement issues that have plagued successive administrations. Additionally, Imani is advocating the amendment of the Fiscal Responsibility Act to implement stricter sanctions to curb wastage. There's more in this report.
Presenting its third Fiscal Recklessness Index, Imani Center for Policy and Education has revealed alarming financial irregularities between 2021 and 2023. Totaling 4.90 billion, as reported by the Auditor General. In light of this, Imani is calling for an independent fiscal council to tackle the issue.
There's an opportune moment for us to use the fiscal council or an establishment of an independent fiscal council that has the power to oversee and bite and stop some of the reckless expenditure items or activities undertaken by the government. And so we believe that the Fiscal Council is a very potent tool that can be leveraged, as we have seen in other countries, but now they are using these Fiscal Council and bipartisan committees to ensure fiscal prudence. And that's why when we are pushing that there should be this establishment of that Fiscal Council.
However, Daniel Domelovo, who is a former Auditor General, disagrees, citing concerns that the council would create duplicity, further burdening the already complex consolidated fund.
The tendency in Ghana is that we create institutions and they are also burdened on the same public funds. They don't perform, then we create another one. The Attorney General, the Auditor General, the Director General Internal Audit, Public Accounts Committee, these institutions, we should wake them up. If they are up and doing, let me be honest with you, the Ministry of Finance will repent.
Ratamani is emphasizing the need to strengthen internal audit services in government institutions who sometimes face intimidation when performing their duties.
Let's now bring you the very latest in the world of sports. And Jones to the A to the D to the Z to the I. Jones Aji is here with the very latest. Good afternoon to you, Jones. What's in sports?
Good afternoon. So Ghana's Black Satellites have advanced to the semi-finals of the WAFU B Under-20 Championship after a 1-1 draw with host nation Togo. The tournament serves as a qualifier for the 2025 Under-20 African Cup of Nations, with the finalists automatically qualifying. Now Ghana, the 2021 Under-20 AFCON champions, missed out on the previous tournaments but are now just one win away from securing a spot at the 2025 edition. Coach of the side, Desmond Ofer, says his side are focused on the semi-final game.
No, we are very happy. I think the first hurdle in every tournament is a qualification to the semis, and we made it. So now all focus on the semis. We want to congratulate Togo. They fought really hard for this. It wasn't easy at all, and our boys did well, and we are very happy that we are in the semis. It's hard to compare because these are three different nations, different styles, but Togo was really good. Tactically, it was really tough, but in the end, we managed to get a qualification, so we are happy. Not really. If you see how we started the game, very enthusiastic, very determined, very hungry. But all in all, I think once again, we have to give...
Black Stars of Ghana have dropped to 73rd place in the latest FIFA Coca-Cola rankings, moving down 3 places from 70th. They are now ranked 14th in Africa. This decline follows a winless run in the October international window where they drew and lost to Sudan in the AFCON qualifiers. Ghana had previously dropped to 70th in September after similar results against Angola and Niger. The team remains winless in Group F of the 2025 AFCON qualifiers, putting their qualification at risk. Meanwhile, Comoros, Ghana's World Cup qualifying opponents, made a significant jump, moving up 10 places. And then internationally, Argentina leads the rankings, followed by France, Spain, England, and then Brazil. In Africa, Morocco remains the top-ranked team in Africa. Now, meanwhile, the live draw for the Star FM at 10 diplomatic games will be live on GH1 TV at 1 p.m. My name is Jones Aji, and that's all for sports.
Thank you very much, Jones, with the very latest in the world of sports. You're still listening to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. Let's switch our attention to election-related stories. This is your election hub here on Star 103.5 FM. Let's touch base with the camp of the NPP flag bearer and the Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Well, he has promised to set up a cassava processing factory in the Central Tong District if elected president in the December polls. Now, he emphasized that the factory will help cassava farmers in the area get a ready market for their produce. He was speaking at a Youth Connect program as part of his campaign in the Volta region on Wednesday night.
My biggest priority as a president will be agriculture, to help the farmers. We are going to bring irrigation, we are going to bring technology. Every farming district, Central Tongo, and every of the districts in Ghana, what we have done for the roads with a drip program to give equipment for the construction of the road, we are going to bring agricultural equipment to every district for the farmers of this country.
You had the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Let's quickly touch base with Musa Lansais with GH1 and Starr News following the flag bearer of the NPP. Musa, so in a minute, tell us what else has the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP been up to today in the Volta region?
Well, we just finished with a stakeholder engagement in the Tettey constituency where he met with traditional rulers, the clergy, and then students and then tutors of the nursing and midwifery training school, as well as other stakeholders in that constituency. And he's addressing his second program here, which is the Community Connect. From here, he's moving to the Amnor constituency, where he will do the same thing, stakeholder engagement, and then the Community Connect, and then finally end up at the Southern constituency in Stogakofa, where he would again have the stakeholder engagement and then a community connect before moving to Accra and then preparing for his OT regional tour on Saturday.
All right, thank you very much, Musa Lansais. He is embedded in the campaign team of the flag bearer of the NPP and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Now, before we go, are political campaign songs overshadowing the core messages of the campaigns? Are they tools that reinforce party loyalty over national interests, effectively sidelining important discourse? Now, these questions are critical as Ghana navigates its democratic landscape. In the following report, Starr and GH1 News' Elik Limawuku explores how the prevalence of catchy campaign songs may be distracting from substantive discussions about policies and promises.
From catchy original tunes to parodies of popular hits, campaign songs have become a staple in Ghana's election process. As party loyalists and everyday Ghanaians sway to the rhythms, one cannot help but wonder how many of these songs genuinely convey a party's promises, and how do Ghanaians prioritize the nation over political allegiance? At the first anniversary public lecture honoring the late lawyer Akoto Ampao, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, who is the Executive Director of the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, expressed concern over the tendency for party interests to overshadow national priorities within Ghana's democratic framework.
Our democracy has been turned against us. We have ended up, it appears, with a government of the party, by the party, for the party, and its partisans. But you wouldn't know any of this if you follow the candidates and their song and dance election campaigns across the country.
Professor Prempeh pointed to the ongoing environmental degradation from illegal mining, noting how political entities often prioritize securing votes from artisanal miners over addressing this long-standing issue.
Apparent inability to solve critical public problems comes from the story of Galamsey, or illegal artisanal mining. Again, despite the scale and gravity of the devastation this widespread practice is causing to the country's ecology, water supply systems, and long-term public health, resolute action has not been forthcoming from the political classes. And here, they do not even pretend to conceal their self-serving reasons for not acting resolutely to stop the ecocide.
This sentiment was echoed by former Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Professor Kwame Kakari, who also raised concerns about the current state of Ghana's democracy. He emphasized the need for a more substantial focus on democratic principles rather than party loyalties.
When in an election campaign, political parties refuse to address major existential issues such as Galamsey because they fear to lose votes, or because their leaders and financiers are beneficiaries, we are compelled to ask, who do the parties represent, votes or the voters?
So, what's the beef with political campaign songs? After all, they're a well-known marketing strategy. Suleimana Brahima, Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, argues that the prevalence of these tunes has pushed meaningful campaign messages and critical discussions to the sidelines.
It's indeed a problematic situation where if you listen to the campaign now, perhaps you would hear more sounds and more music than policies that are being put out, and a lot more promises here and there. Indeed, that is why if you take the biggest problem of Galamsey, both parties are shying away from touching on it. As he said, it's about we don't want to lose votes.
In an era where catchy melodies dominate, it raises an important question. Are Ghanaians jamming to the beat of political change, or are they simply dancing to the rhythm of party politics?
Well, I guess the ball is in everybody's court. Where do you fall? Policies, or you're just jamming to the music? On that note, we end today's edition of the Starr Midday News. My name is Dedei Tettey. Thank you very much for your company. Do have a good afternoon.